from the workshop at Wildwind Beach. All right, I don't think I'm late just yet. I think I'm right on time, Graham. But thanks for your concern. Hello, Pedro. Great to have you on board all the way from Chile, I believe. Graham says, actually, it's afternoon in South Africa. I think in, aren't you on the same time as us in South Africa? It's now 5:30 in Greece. I think it would be the same. Anyway, this is a question and answer session. It's being recorded live from the workshop, and I'll be in the boat park at times as well. So if you have got any questions, fire away. But if you are watching this later on, once it's uploaded, of course, if you ask a question in the comments, I won't be able to respond in the video, but I will do what I can to respond either in the comments or in next week's Q&A. Hey Kai, how you doing, man? Great to have you with us. Hope you've been having some good sailing. Kai's got an ACAT there on a lake. Oh, it's Dave. Yo, Dave, what's happening, man? Great to have you with us. It's been a while since... Oh, Martin's here as well. Oh, my goodness. Hey, Martin, caught you live. Yes, absolutely. And seeing as Martin's here, I am still here, by the way. So that is Martin, who is the builder of these absolute pieces of artwork. Let's do something like from a sci-fi movie, like it's a spaceship coming over the camera. Yes, this is one of Martin's telescopic tiller extensions, carbon fibre, absolutely beautiful. Check out Martin's website, malczewskicomposites.com, I believe. All right, well worth a look there. All right, hello Robin, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so I've got a few preloaded questions as always. And then if you've got any questions, do shoot them through in the live chat. Hi Richard, methinks travelling to Greece from the UK at the moment isn't perhaps the easiest thing to do in the world, seeing as the UK has just kept the goalposts pretty tight at the moment. Hopefully in the coming weeks those rules will change so that in July people from the UK will be able to come out to see us in Greece. I'd have to say it is well worth coming out here because it's absolute champagne sailing conditions most days at the moment. In fact, let's just give you a little taste of what I was up to yesterday. So this is using some pretty low-tech technology. Oh yeah, actually sailing the FX12 as a double-hander with Lucy. Oh, Ollie Smith, hey Joe, when I come on holiday, yeah, I dare say you will. That is the sort of action that's been going down. Very nice wind. Not absolute nosebleed every day as well. Some days it's been like today, it was quite manageable. Like probably, I don't know, 15, 16 knots of wind rather than the trademark 25 that we get most days. So there you are, just scrolling back, make sure I haven't missed anyone who's just checking in. Pesty Pester, I believe that's Andrew. Nice to have you on board. Thanks for tuning in. Yasure Pano. Oh, so very exciting week for Panos. Panos is, he was featured in one of the videos, and he was out here on holiday last year. And this week, Panos has bought a Top Cat K1. Fantastic. That is really good news. So he'll be coming up here to pick it up soon. Hi, Hutchie. Thanks for tuning in. Kurosh, no wind today, so I'll get to watch your show instead of being on the water. Cool. So Kurosh is here, and in fact, Kurosh is first. He's preloaded a question because he didn't think he'd be able to join us. And Kurosh asks, can you please explain how symmetrical spinnakers act differently from asymmetric spinnakers? All right, so we've got a board and I'm not scared to use it. So what we've got is a symmetrical spinnaker you're more likely to find on a yacht or an older style of dinghy. Like on the 470, 420 dinghies, they use symmetrical spinnakers. On catamarans, the sort of catamarans we're talking about, there are not so many symmetrical spinnakers that are used, but most famously perhaps they're used on the shearwater catamaran. So if this is our wind, as usual from the top, and then here is the boat like this, so the mainsail would be out like this. Are we good so far with the drawing? I think it's not too bad. All right, so an asymmetric spinnaker, as we've seen, will be flown from a fixed bowsprit. So the first thing with the asymmetric spinnaker is it's a lot more user-friendly because the bowsprit, which you could also call the spinnaker pole, is in a fixed position. The spinnaker then, the asymmetric spinnaker or gennaker, is then flown much like a big jib. So this would be that sail just there. The asymmetric spinnaker is used for sailing the angles downwind. So we would still be jibing downwind like this to get to our downwind destination rather than sailing straight in line with the wind. So that is the asymmetric spinnaker. The way the asymmetric makes us fast is because, as we know about our apparent wind, our induced wind from the front will be like that. Can we see that okay? Yeah. And then the apparent wind would end up, I'm going to go in blue again, would end up being kind of like this direction. So this is the actual wind direction that we're sailing on, which is a combination of the true wind, the wind that's blowing, the induced wind, the wind that we're creating by moving forwards, and the combination of those two gives us our apparent wind, which we're sailing on. And then with the asymmetric spinnaker, we're getting from the apparent wind an even flow of wind over both sides of the sail. That is how it works. And it's very quick. But if we try going really deep downwind with the asymmetric spinnaker, we're not going to be getting this even flow over both sides of the sail, so it's not going to be quite as fast. Now, let's get rid of all that. So if we now look at the symmetrical spinnaker, I'm going to draw this a little bit bigger. I thought that was a little bit small. So here's our boat. We're still cat sailing, of course. Mainsail like this. And then the symmetrical spinnaker will be flown from a spinnaker pole which is not in a fixed position. Let's draw that in blue. So the spinnaker pole would actually go out to windward slightly like this. This is the spinnaker pole. And then I'll draw the spinnaker in green. And then the spinnaker would be more like this if we're looking directly from above. So this is not working in the same way. With the symmetrical spinnaker, unless we're sailing as close to the wind as we can with it, what we're getting is the wind is coming in and then it's blowing us along in a more traditional way, rather than getting that flow of air over both sides of the sail. So the symmetrical spinnaker is much more geared up for sailing more in line with the wind. It's a lot more difficult to use because when you jibe, you have to take the spinnaker pole from the mast and move it over to the other side of the boat. When you're not using it, the spinnaker pole would sit alongside the boom, so it's a bit more painful to use. So that is why the asymmetric spinnaker has become pretty much all that is getting put on new designs of boats these days. There we are. Thanks very much, Kurosh, for your question. I thought it was thought-provoking and good. All right, just scrolling back. All right. Quite a lot of scrolling, quite a lot of action today. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's good to have you with us. All right, we've got Mike from Brazil. Hi, Mike. And we've got Mike, spelt differently, from Germany. That's Mike, who we saw last week in Shoashi Cap with the Hurricane 5.9 into the grass at the side. Very dynamic bit of action there. I think everybody appreciated that bit of dynamic action. We've got Chris in the Nederlands. Hi, Chris. Great to have you on board. So Graham, who's in South Africa, is sad because it's becoming the winter there. And his mum won't let him go sailing, even with his wetsuit on. All right, that is a great shame. Sorry to hear that, man. All right, we've got Dan in Chicago. Hi, Dan. We've got Krill. I'm guessing in Holland or Belgium, judging by the surname there. Armin in Germany. At the moment in Croatia. Lovely. Nice. All right, Michael from Chicago. No wind in Chicago at the moment. Up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit and fog for the last 3 days. Oh, my word. Yeah, Krill is in the Netherlands. All right, Kai asks, do you join the F18 Worlds this year in Italy with the C2? No, unfortunately, I won't be making it to the F18 Worlds in Italy because it is not at a particularly good time of the season to be getting away. And I'm betting heavily on the Tornado Worlds, which are going to be in Greece. And I would absolutely love to go and do the F18 Worlds as well, but it's not practical for me to do that, unfortunately. That would be an absolute humdinger of an event. Hi, Herbert. I think Herbert is communicating with someone else because he's messaging in German, which, of course, I don't understand. Guten Tag. Dan, what is the boat speed difference? Here we go. Between having the main traveller out and just having the main sheet let out, assuming that the sails are all trimmed. Hobie 16. Good question there, Dan. Yeah, so there might not be, in fact, that much of a boat speed difference. Just to reapply Dan's question there, he's saying, what would be the difference if, let's say, for example, let's put this on a beam reach. Example. Oh my goodness, we're going the wrong way. All right, we can do that. This drawing went out of control pretty quickly. All right, there's one and there's the other one. Okay, so let's say on the top one we've got the traveller out and the main sheet tighter. And then on this one we've got the traveller central and the main sheet looser. All right, so what is going to happen there is with the traveller out and a tighter main sheet, there's going to be a few things which are beneficial to us. The first one is that we're going to have more control over our sail shape because we've got more tension in the main sheet. The reason that we've got more control over our sail shape is because with no tension in the main sheet, the shape of the sail is just being governed by the pressure in it. So as the pressure increases, the sail's going to be much more kind of fluid, and it's just going to be like a organic piece, like a leaf or something, which is just moving as the pressure increases and decreases in it. And it's going to be a lot more, if it's windy, with, let's call this option B and option A. In option B, we're going to be feeling a lot more out of control because the sail is going to be having this organic feel to it where we're not really controlling it as much. As well as that, to keep the boat under control with option B, which is traveller in the centre, loads the main sheet out, we're going to have to play a lot more main sheet to keep the boat under control. Whereas with the traveller out, we should be able to control the boat with much, much less main sheet use because we've got more control over the sail. Boat speed wise, it is possible perhaps to go just as fast with both options, but because we're in more control with option A, we will be able to sail faster. So that is why we're setting the traveller so that then we can just play a small amount of main sheet from that position rather than keeping the traveller in more and having to work with a load more sheet. Thanks very much for the question. It's actually the first time a question like that has come up, so I think you've really smashed it there. Nice. Thanks. All right, just scrolling back. All right, Hayden, how you doing? Hayden says, might finally get out on the 14 for the first time this weekend. Finishing the waxing, then putting it back together. Wind isn't looking great though, so I'm playing it by ear. Great choice. Good luck with that, Hayden. I'm sure that you'll have a great time. Even if the wind's pretty light, as long as it's not looking like stormy, you should go out and at least sit on it for a little while. Great stuff. All right. All right. Gerables. Thanks for tuning in. How's the weather in Vasiliki? Do you think we should go outside and have a look? Let's go outside and have a look. All right. Got to put on the protection before getting out there because it is quite a nice day. All right, flipping the camera around so we can see. It's like sort of going out, and here we are. Yes, the weather is pretty good. Yes, we've had a very nice bit of breeze this afternoon. It's been about 15 knots, 16 knots, so a very user-friendly bit of wind. Like I said at the start, it's not been absolute nosebleed 25 to 30 knots every day this week. There has been some of that, but there's been an equal amount of this 15, 16 knots of breeze, which makes it very manageable for a lot of people, which is very nice. All right, we're going back inside because otherwise I can't really see the screen very well. It's very bright indeed. Good to go on a field trip occasionally. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Great to have you on board. Don't forget, while I've got you there, just to hit the like button. That would be very nice. It means more people will get to see this information, this video. Thank you, whoever that was. I saw it. Hey, we've got Timon on board. Hi, Timon. And we've got, all right, Shizo Vreni Food and Travel, who has preloaded a question which is about battens. Okay, I'm just reading this off my computer. I wanted to ask about the trimming of the battens of the mainsail. First we had them in really tight, but then noticed the mainsail would not fill properly to the point where it would actually go to the other side, so the battens would pop to the other side. Then we loosen the battens a bit, but still we're unsure under what conditions we should have it more loose or more tight. Okay, the mainsail rarely gets full pressure no matter what in the area of the lower three battens. It is not filled properly. So, batten setting. Right now, the white part of the batten sticks out about 1 centimetres. All right, so what the question is asking is how tight do we put the battens in? Okay, because we haven't stated what sort of boat it is, I'm assuming it's a 16, but this will be the same for a lot of boats. So when we're putting the battens into the sail, generally we're not trying to put a load of curve in. It is a Hobie 16, yes, all right, good guess. We're not trying to put a load of curve into the sail using the battens. Have we got anything here that we can use as some sort of example? All right, well, I've got a batten anyway. All right, here is the batten. So firstly, if it's a 16, this is what your battens should look like, this sort of section. If they're a different sort of batten, then maybe you will run into some strange things happening, because the 16 sails, the whole rig, is designed with this type of batten, which are a certain stiffness. So if you've got a different type of batten, let's just show a different type of batten. All right, this is just a little one. This is actually out of a jib, out of a dinghy jib. Now, this type of batten, you can see is much thinner, so it's really, really flexy. If we put a batten like that in a 16 mainsail, then we're going to be in trouble because the batten is way too soft. So that's the first thing. Make sure we are using the right type of battens. And then what we're doing when we're putting the battens in is we just want to put them in so we're taking all of the creases out of the batten pocket, and then with the 16 we're putting it that much in, and then we're just putting in a small amount more tension to put a very small amount of curve into the sail. This is different with the 16 to the more modern types of boat where we don't put any tension into the battens, and this is just going to give the sail a little bit more shape. If you put more tension in than that, then you are going to run into difficulties, especially in light winds, with getting the battens to pop across the right way. So really, we're just looking for a very small amount of batten tension on the 16. And then if we're talking like the F18 type boats, we're putting no batten tension in at all, but we're just tying it in so that the batten can't move inside the pocket. If the batten can move inside the pocket, then that's going to give us these vertical creases in the batten pocket, which we certainly do not want. So there you go. That is pretty much the size of it with the battens. So not too much tension. That is the key. Seen quite a lot has been coming in the comments. So we're scrolling back once again. Mike is having a chat with Herbert in German. William, how you doing? What's the best way to figure out my Hobie 16 born on date? Oh yeah, so how to find out when your 16 was built depends a bit on if it's a European boat or an American boat, I think. I think for this, we're actually going to go back outside so I can actually show you where we would find the serial number on a Hobie. So this is a Tiger, and this is the same on the 16s. is on the back of the hull, you'll have quite a long serial number there. And then on the European boats, it's the last two numbers of the year that the boat was built. So this one is a 2007. You will also have on your rear crossbeam a plate like this, which will say année, which I believe is French for year, because the boat's built in France. And then that, hopefully that number will match the number on your serial number on your hull. So there we go. That's how we can find out the year of the boat. With the American boats, I believe it is different. So I'm not able to help you there at this time. I have been told in the past how to find them, but it's not quite as straightforward as with the European boats. Right. Okay, Timon. Timon says, I want to sail in a 30 knot wind at the weekend. What should I be aware of? Okay, that's a good question, actually. If you're going to go out in 30 knots, I think, is that with a 20? So, what to be aware of? First thing is, are you going to be sailing with a crew? I think if it's going to be 30 knots, it would be pretty foolish to go out without a crew unless you are sailing a dedicated single-handed boat. To be honest, Timon, I can't remember if you've got a 20 or an FX1. If it's an FX1, that is a dedicated single-hander, so you should be able to go out solo. But I would say if you're going out solo in 30 knots of wind, FX1, yeah, then you should be certainly making sure that there is going to be some sort of help at hand if it all starts getting a little bit exciting. So, for example, if you capsize your boat and maybe you become separated with the boat or something, these are potential things that could go wrong. Make sure, I think if you're sailing single-handed especially, you should definitely carry a whistle, because if you fall off the boat, a whistle is going to make it much easier for you to be found than not having a whistle. It's the smallest thing you could carry in your buoyancy aid, but the difference it could make is significant. Also, 30 knots of wind, you could consider wearing a helmet, because you can crash pretty hard in that amount of wind. So worth considering. Make sure you tell a load of people that you are going out if you're going to be going out in that much wind. What else? Yeah, if with the actual sailing of the boat, the launching and everything, really have a look at your launching area before you're going out. I'd hope that you're going to be sailing on a lake and not on the open sea. If you're on the open sea, then you really are putting your head into the jaws of the beast, where you might not be able to pull it back out of. So, yeah, really take every precaution before heading out. If there are other boats going sailing, spend a bit of time just watching them, especially with their launching, just to see if they're getting into any difficulties when they're launching. And by watching for a little bit, you can learn quite a lot about what works, what doesn't work in that situation. But either way, if the wind is blowing offshore, then that is another potential danger, because if something happens to your boat, like for example, if your mast comes down, it's going to be near impossible to get back to where it is that you set off from. So things to consider. But good luck. Other things to consider: take a GPS, take a camera, so that then you'll have some evidence to show everyone what went down. Nice. All right, there we go. Just scrolling back. Okay. scrolling back, a lot going on today. All right, Michael. Oh, Michael and Dan are having a little chat there. That's all right. Michael says we have 2 Hobie 16s just got a getaway as well. That's nice. If you guys hook up, it's always nice to go sailing with other boats out. That makes it a lot more interesting. All right. Kurosh says, here we go. When sailing in open sea with bigger swells, would you recommend to sail faster and jump over the waves or slower? What is the best speed to manage the boat in bigger waves? Okay, this is quite an interesting question. I don't sail in the big waves so much these days, but I used to before I lived in Greece. So I've had a little bit of experience, but not as much as some. Generally speaking, the waves will be in the same direction as the wind. So you'll be going up the waves on an upwind point of sail. And then if you want to get your boat completely airborne, he's never seen a wave. I have. If you want to get your boat completely airborne, get a good bit of speed going up the wave, and then just as you get to the top, head up into the wind a bit, which is going to put both hulls in the water, giving you more volume to jump off, and you can actually get the boat completely airborne. But perhaps not totally recommended because the landings can be precarious. So the way to tackle the waves is as you go up the wave, just when the front of the boat starts to come out of the top of the wave, just bear away slightly. And as we know, by bearing away, we're going to put more pressure on the bows, and that pressure is going to help the boat to stick to the wave and push it down the other side. There we are. That is what I would say. But yeah, with waves, if there are breaking waves, timing is extremely important. If there are waves breaking onto the beach, then certainly timing is very important, so you're not sailing out into the jaws of the beast. Once again, that beast is everywhere today, so watch the waves for a little bit before you set off and work out what sort of timing you need. All right, Kurosh says, but what about avoiding the pitch pole? Okay, yeah, so coming down the wave, the wave is going to make you go very fast when you're coming down it. And then to avoid digging your boat, so hold on, where's the wave? Like this. In fact, let's see if we can use this facility here. So how are we going to draw this? Like, there's our waves, and then here's Kurosh. Coming down the wave nicely. Okay, so if you're worried about going fast and when you get to the trough, you're just going to keep going straight down the mine shaft like that, then what you want to do is just as you get to the bottom of, before you get to the bottom of the wave, just start heading up slightly, which is going to help to take the pressure off the bows, and also it's not going to put you directly into the next wave. You're going to be going more diagonally. So try going more diagonally on the waves rather than straight down. That is going to help. All right, Kai says, while with Mauritius is a nice wave training area, I would certainly agree. That is cooking down there. All right, scrolling back. So I hope that helps, Kurosh. All right, Hayden says, this Hayden with the 14, winds forecast says gusty, little more than I want the first time out, and offshore. Yeah, so it's that word offshore, which is, that is when the alarm bells should be going off if you are sailing in open sea. If the wind is offshore, that means if something happens to your boat, like maybe the mast comes down, or maybe if your mainsail rips in half, you're going to find it very difficult getting back. There we are. Okay, scrolling back. Okay. Scrolling back.